Hey there, thanks for listening. This is the first episode ever of the Seller Dojo Amazon and Private Label podcast. I'm your host, Cam. This one's going to be about 25 minutes long. It's going to be about whether or not this whole Amazon opportunity is a real deal or whether it's just a bunch of hot air. It's going to be about globalization. It's going to be about winner-take-all economies. It's going to be about how to learn what you need to learn if you do want to pursue this and you do want to succeed. But before we jump into that, before we get started, I just want to take a minute to invite you to join our Facebook group. Go to Facebook, type in Seller Dojo, and join a community of like-minded people. Make a post, introduce yourself. Anyway, let's jump right into it. So in this episode, I want to talk about a couple things. My main goal is to get you to really think about whether or not this whole Amazon thing, this whole growing industry is really a real opportunity and one that you want to follow up with. And then if you decide that you do want to do it and that it is a good opportunity, I want to explain how I think this podcast can help you become a better Amazon seller and sell more. Now, I'm a pretty skeptical person, and I was skeptical about Amazon for maybe a year and a half before I really came around and realized on my own terms that I think it is a really fantastic opportunity. I'm skeptical to a fault. So if you're listening to this and you're skeptical, maybe we're in the same boat. But anytime there's a lot of gurus in the space, I kind of assume the whole thing is baloney. And there's a lot of people trying to sell you stuff in this industry. And so I was skeptical for a long time. There's really two main reasons and a third smaller one that I realized over time made this a real game changer and made this a unique opportunity. And I think if I explain them to you, you can kind of figure that out. And on your own terms, come to the same conclusion. So the main thing to me is that Amazon is the U.S.'s biggest retail store, Amazon.com. You know, when you add in the other marketplaces, Amazon is the biggest store in the world. So the idea of putting a product on the shelves of the biggest store in the world is pretty impressive. I mean, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? The way I think about it is if you go back far enough in time, way back when, there was a time when every good was made locally and it stayed local. And gradually that's just been put to rest. Now we're in a completely globalized economy. Everything's made in China. All furniture is made by IKEA. And it's completely winner take all. You know, there's like one company that makes bananas. And I'm kind of joking. I'm kind of, getting carried away. But it's mostly true. And there's this winner take all economy aspect to it. So we live in a winner take all society. The best example I have for that is I'm recording this right now from Thailand, in Chiang Mai, which is a smaller town in the north. And it's pretty far removed from the U.S. at least, right? And I'm Skyping a couple days ago with Matt. Matt's a friend of mine, and he's one of the other guys behind Amazon Shark. And we're both in coffee shops. And I can hear in the background that they're playing the same U.S. pop song in his coffee shop in the U.K. that they're playing in mine in Thailand. So this U.S. song, this product, is basically being exported all over the world. And that one artist is making all the money that every other artist, in their small local economies would have made if this was thousands of years ago. Or at least the recording industry is making that money, right? And this isn't really an original opinion. I mean, a lot of people have commented on this winner-take-all economy thing. But I think this is kind of a unique thought, that we're entering a second winner-take-all economy. So the first one was the one I just described, and it's really well described by Hollywood, by the music industry, and by the goods that you can find in, for example, Walmart, which are the same. I've seen a lamp in hotels here. I've seen the same lamp that I used to have at home in the U.S. It's kind of depressing. There's a total lack of creativity, a total lack of originality. I kind of wish we had the craftsmen back, but anyway, so I think we're entering a second winner-take-all economy, and that's the idea I want to give to you. So in the first one, I think you kind of had to have permission to take advantage of it. You kind of had to be rich. You kind of had to be powerful. You kind of had to know somebody. And so going back to the Hollywood example, if you wanted to make a Hollywood movie, could you do that? Because I couldn't. I wouldn't know where to begin. I'd have to know somebody who, could put the money together. who could, hook me up with all the actors that are famous, the directors that we would need, that everything, all the puzzle pieces have to fall into place. And it seems like in the first winner-take-all economy, other people had the puzzle pieces, and you had to ask very nicely if you could use them. A lot of people say that, pop music and stuff like this, the people, the stars are kind of selected, and I think there's some truth to that. Similarly, if you wanted to put a product, for example, in Walmart, you'd have to, and this is a different example, but the same kind of thing's true. You kind of have to get permission. The people at Walmart have to say, okay, sure. And you have to be the kind of person who has hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to go to China, to make all of these products and fulfill the massive order quantity that would be required just on day one. The reason I think we're in a second winner-take-all economy is that if you wanted to get famous today, you don't need anyone's permission. And we see this all the time with YouTube. We see this all the time with music, right? If people in the world think that the product you're making, the song you're singing, is the best song, look at that South Korean song, Gangnam Style, right? It's got over 1 billion views on YouTube, and that's not all from kids, not all from babies, just pressing repeat. That guy didn't really need anyone's permission, and I'm sure he had some people's help. But if you make just a video of yourself right now, and you put it on YouTube, and the whole world collectively thinks that you're the funniest dude in the world, they will watch the video, and you will get paid, and you will become famous. So you kind of no longer need the permission of the people, the gatekeepers, to let you in. In this second economy, it's kind of like the gatekeepers no longer control the barrier to entry. The barrier to entry has kind of fallen away completely. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm talking about Hollywood. Well, just like you couldn't make a Hollywood movie without getting a lot of people's permissions, without being a very powerful and famous person, without having a lot of money behind you, but you can become famous on YouTube and have the exact same end result. I think the same is true about commerce and making products in general. So just like you still can't just go put a product in Walmart. It's a pretty hard process, right? People do it, but it's pretty hard. And I don't have a lot of confidence that I could just pull it off, right? What's changed is now anybody can just put a product on Amazon. Just like how anybody can get famous on YouTube, anybody can make the best-selling spiral vegetable slicer, the best-selling brand of iPhone cases, the best-selling microphone, like the one I'm talking into. For the first time ever, anybody with no one else's permission can put a product that they make in the world's largest retail store on the shelves, put it in front of millions of buyers. And you didn't have to put down a lot of money to make it. You didn't have to fulfill massive order quantities. You didn't have to know anybody. It's not even that regulated. And I think we're seeing the same thing happen in commerce that we're seeing with media. So you guys probably know a lot of, maybe you know some YouTube celebrities. Well, you probably don't know them by name, but there's some pretty big commerce celebrities. And they're getting rewarded a hell of a lot better than, the YouTube guys. Because like I said, Amazon is the world's biggest retail store. And just looking at the US marketplace, if you sell pretty much anything, you can make 6 or 7 figures. And I know this sounds guru-y, but it's just kind of a fact. If you sold spoons or cell phone cases, which move thousands of units a day, up to 5,000 units a day, every day of the year, or supplements, where the top supplements move 300, 500 units a day, at least a couple hundred. I mean, you just put a dollar margin on that and you've made yourself a living. It's a pretty incredible opportunity. Now, it's not easy to do, but it's a pretty incredible opportunity. Now, the second reason I changed my mind on Amazon is that I started selling there myself. I kind of stumbled into it, but when I started to sell on Amazon, I realized that there's a vast expanse, a massive distance between consumer perception of how Amazon works and how it actually does. See, consumers believe that Amazon is like a retail store like Walmart with this very difficult vetting process. Some of them even believe that Amazon sells all these products or that Amazon makes a lot of these products, right? At the very least, they're confident that they're going to get what they're paying for, which a lot of the time they are, but they're confident that this is, the safest way to buy products. And the truth of the matter, in my opinion, is that while that was true maybe 10 years ago, it's kind of devolved into something way more similar to eBay. And I think this will actually come back to bite Amazon in the butt. You literally don't even need to pay $40 a month, which is, I believe, is the price of the seller account, the advanced one or whatever. You can just sign up for the free one and just pay $1 per transaction, right? You don't even need a U.S. bank account. Think about that. You don't even need to be a U.S. citizen. And this stuff starts to explain the massive amount of counterfeiting that no one talks about that goes on Amazon and all the other issues. And there's good reasons too why you don't need these things. But the point is, it's kind of closer to eBay, right? I'm in the supplement niche, and I've seen products that making blatantly illegal claims. Penis pills, products called Ampheterol. Look it up. There are people auto-generating books, just nonsense, garbled text, and people buying it. There's a free-for-all, like a war going on, where people are jumping in other people's listings, stealing their brands, and just trying to make a quick buck. And Amazon doesn't allow this stuff, but they do turn a blind eye. It's not that they turn a blind eye, it's just that there's too much going on. It's a Wild West. You have a sheriff, but he can only do so much, and it takes some time to react. And so the second reason I think this is an incredible opportunity, and all I'm trying to say here, is that there's a huge difference. Consumers trust Amazon. They think that it's hard to get into. They think it's like Walmart, and it's not. So when you combine these two things, the fact that you can put a product on the shelves of the world's biggest retail store, and that consumers are going to think that your product is totally legitimate, and I hope it is, but if they're not going to think that you made it in your garage, even though I'm sure there's people, cooking stuff and making pills in their garage and putting it on Amazon, because that's the state of the supplement industry in the United States. But people are going to assume that everything sold on Amazon with a decent looking logo on it are made by a company that's been around 20 years, a company that's got millions of dollars in revenues a year. And you don't have to, explicitly lie to make them think that. They just assume, they just believe that everything on Amazon.com is like a vetted, amazing product. And so when you combine these two factors, the fact that you can put a product into the world's biggest store, and the fact that people won't know really who you are, and they'll just assume that you're one of the world's biggest brands, you've got a pretty amazing opportunity. The third thing, the thing that finally, along with the first two things, made me really come around on the Amazon topic, is FBA. FBA is fulfillment by Amazon. That means you use Amazon's warehouse. They ship your product. They do everything. That's the crazy thing. So these gurus will pitch you on this idea, you buy this course, whatever, and I'm going to teach you how to make money on Amazon. And you're going to be able to go to the beach, go to the pool, sip mojitos, provide for your family, travel the world, do whatever you want, right? And as much as I don't like to admit this ever, it's true. It's pretty true. You can never just, take off work completely. If you get a new competitor, and he comes on the scene and undercuts your prices or has a better brand, or if people just stop needing to buy, for example, some fad that you're involved in, like maybe it's a dietary trend or something, then you're going to, things are going to get shaken up. You got to come back to the office. But I have literally never seen anything, and I've traveled for years, and I have a pretty free lifestyle. I've literally never seen a business model that allows for this much freedom. It's not a very good use of time. It's pretty hedonistic, in my opinion, to just go to the beach and just live there. But you could do it for at least a couple years before, something fundamental changed and you had to go back to work. That part of the dream being sold is actually mostly true. And so these three things together are what really made me come around, especially the first two. I mean, I don't think I realized at first just how big of a store it is, just how easy it was to put something on the shelves, and just how much trust people had. Their credit cards are on file. Like mine is not only on file. I have one-click purchasing enabled, and I think a lot of people do. And I buy the dumbest stuff. I buy stuff. I cancel like a third of my orders before they ship 4 hours later. I don't even think about it. I just buy stuff. You might think consumerism is a problem, and I agree, but it's also a pretty huge opportunity. And that's up to you whether you want to take advantage of that or, just get sad about it. But people like me and other people, they just buy stuff. It's one-click purchasing, man. Amazon has a patent on that. One-click checkout. They have their address saved, their credit cards on file. They trust you, and it's the store they go to by default. It's a pretty ripe situation. So what I'm saying, and I'm sorry for droning on and on, is that the opportunity is real. It's real and it's right in front of you. The hype is not baseless. Most of the stuff that the gurus and the people trying to sell you stuff are saying is true. The place we disagree is that I don't think it's as easy as they make it sound. But it is true. Most of it's true. I was kind of confused about how to think about this until I recently had I thought of a pretty good metaphor. Amazon is like a gold rush. Now, like in all gold rushes, some nefarious characters, some shady people are going to come out of the woodwork. They're going to pop out of the background. And they're going to try to sell you on get-rich-quick schemes, right? They're going to try to take advantage. And like in all gold rushes, most people will not succeed. Most people will never find gold, right? Just think about a gold rush. But those 2 points don't actually detract from the validity of the gold rush. It's still a gold rush. It's true. There's gold underground, a ton of it, and you can dig it up. And this is how gold rushes work, right? Most people don't succeed for various reasons, and people try to take advantage of the situation. But it's still actually a pretty insane gold rush. I like to think about Amazon this way now. And as so many people before me have put this way more eloquently, people that don't try at all have a pretty epic chance of failure. So how are you? How is the person listening to this? How are you going to mine gold successfully? How are you going to be different? Well, how are other people doing it? A lot of people think they know, but in my opinion, there's only 2 ways. Either you get lucky, or you have a competitive advantage. And I don't think that's a very controversial statement. I don't think the answer is buying an ebook, but that can help. And I don't sell any ebooks. I don't think it's super controversial to say that you're either lucky or you're better than other people, right? Or you're doing something better or smarter than other people. Imagine that this was, again, a literal gold rush. If you didn't know anything about geology, you don't know anything about shovels, you don't know, I don't know about gold rushes, right? If you don't know anything about the gold market, gold pricing, marketing of gold to consumers, you don't know anything about the chemistry, how to separate gold from dirt, you don't have any of these competitive advantages. You're just a dude. You're just some guy that read a newspaper article or saw a link online. Would you mine for gold? Would you realistically expect to get rich overnight? Because some people would. And probably what pisses us off most on some deep level, I know it upsets me, is that some people would get rich, right? And that's unhealthy, I know, to worry about that. But some people would just get lucky and get rich overnight. But I think we can agree that that's not, on average, a good strategy. That's not, the expected profitability of doing that is significantly lower. But see, if you were a geology major, or you had experience in the gold industry, or you owned retail stores that were going to sell the gold to consumers, or you were a chemist and you knew how to separate it from dirt, or you had otherwise, or maybe you owned a shovel factory, right? If you have a competitive advantage, like a crazy one, like the chemistry thing, then you can actually, let's just be real, you could realistically expect to make a lot of money really fast, right? And with a lesser competitive advantage, you could still realistically expect that with hard work and some time and some investment, you could make a good return. And you could build a business that provides for you what you want. What I'm saying is that you should not rely on luck. A competitive advantage is not totally necessary because you can build one over time, but it's going to remove a ton of the luck from the equation. And I think if your aim is to succeed, if you've come to the conclusion that Amazon's a real opportunity and you've come to that conclusion on your own terms and you're ready to get started, then I think your best bet is to try to develop a competitive advantage or multiple. If you're really good at Facebook or AdWords, PPC, right, media buying, otherwise getting traffic to your listing, maybe you're an SEO whiz, maybe you're a family or friend relationship with the manufacturer, you have a factory in mind, that's going to give you cheap pricing. You can, make some good margins on the buy side. Maybe you're just so in-depthly an expert in your market. Maybe you've been playing paintball since you were 7 years old, and like deep in your heart, you feel that the guns all suck and you could build a better one. Like, cause you've always played and you just know what they're missing. That would be a competitive advantage. If you had like a paintball forum, right? And so you had thousands of paintballers, potential buyers, potential reviewers, like basically a crowd of people to do your bidding, that would be a competitive advantage. Maybe you don't have any of these things, though. I want to go back to that possibility. Well, I think what most of these courses... Well, I think the ideology underlying most of these Amazon courses is that getting good enough at Amazon and just becoming an Amazon expert is a strong enough competitive advantage. And at first I didn't think it was. Again, I was pretty skeptical about that. But I've come around on it, and I'll tell you why. It's because when you really look at Amazon and you look at even the top selling items, they're not that good. They're not that optimized. Now you can really see people that have like gone through the ASM course and other courses, and you can see them like just, they're so obvious, right? The long titles, the really optimized images, the crap like money back guarantees like in the image and that kind of stuff. Even so, this is all getting cracked down on, by the way. But I think what I'm saying is that when you look at all the products for sale on Amazon, most of these sellers are selling as just a secondary sales channel, right? They're not Amazon experts. They're just like, oh, I'll just list on Amazon. I'll just do that and see if I get some sales. And they do, so they stay. But they're not like sitting around day to day thinking, oh, how can I optimize that? How can I make more on Amazon? So I think this competitive advantage, I think just being an Amazon expert is enough. And you're not one today, probably, right? But over time, by tuning into this podcast and by doing other stuff, you can become one. And I think that's enough. And it would be good to learn stuff like, Facebook PPC, AdWords PPC, Amazon sponsored ads, etc. You want to be able to drive traffic probably, not just completely rely on them. I think it is enough to just become very, very good at selling products in the world's biggest marketplace. So in this podcast, I want to teach you guys. That's my goal. I want to teach you basic Facebook ads, basic AdWords, basic SEO, basic copywriting for Amazon, basic product differentiation and niching and stuff like that. Just fundamentals. And every so often, something pretty specific and pretty advanced. Product photography, how to do giveaways, just everything you need to know to sell more and sell better on Amazon. Now, I don't know all these things, like I have a good understanding. Right now I'm kind of a jack of all trades with a couple niche expertises, but I don't know all these things. And so what we're going to do is have interviews, about one a week, with people that are just total experts in one of these things. And I'm just going to try to ask the best questions I can and get them to teach you everything they know. If you think that's a good idea and you want to do that, if you want to tag along, I would really appreciate if you join our Facebook group, which you can find by typing Seller Dojo into Facebook, and tell us what you want to learn about. Tell me, just make a post or send me a message and tell me what expert you want, who you want me to bring on. Tell me exactly what you want to learn, and I can try to make sure it happens. Make a post, say hey, say who you are, tell us, how far along your journey you are, and tell us what you want to learn, and I'll do my best, all right? Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed that, make sure to tune in next week. We're going to talk to my friend Will. Will's made a living selling his own brands of cosmetics on Amazon for over half a decade. And after a couple years, he actually got him into retail stores. He's built an incredible business that's allowed him to travel. I actually met him abroad. And he's going to tell you, I'm going to interview him, and he's going to tell you everything he knows about branding. He's actually written a book about it, about the topic. And just everything he does to sell on Amazon. So if you did enjoy this first episode, make sure to tune in next week and meet Will.